What up, y'all? It's Chris Weathers, aka Shortyc94, back at you again. Today, we're going to be reviewing two Uptempos. One that's out and one that's coming out. So we'll start with the one that's out. The Air Max Uptempo 97. They used to just be called the Air Uptempo 3 because there was a shoe, 95, Pippen, a bunch of other NBA players used to wear it, just called the Nike Air Uptempo. Then they came with the Air Max Tempo, which is also a shoe Pippen wore, but in the early 2000s, Derek Fisher had a PE of it. But a bunch of people wore it. Stackhouse used to have his own PE, early 2000s as well. But in the 90s, a bunch of NBA players wore it, but mainly Pippen, Tony Kukoc used to wear it as well, Luke Longley. Of course, all those were Bulls players, but it was just kind of one of those shoes that everybody wore in the NBA 95, 96, I guess, that didn't have a signature or didn't want to wear the solo flight. So, anyway, the Air Max Uptempo 97, I still refer to it as the Air Uptempo 3. And we have it here. And this OG white, black, and navy colorway. This specific colorway was made for Reggie Miller. But again, this is another shoe a lot of people associate with Pippen because he did have a white, black, and red one. And there was a black and red one. I still own the OG black and red pair from 97. The shoe looks pretty close to the original. It's got the cursive air, the pull tab, the Uptempo logo. Now I will say the shape of the shoe the toe box looks a little different, but it's not a huge difference. And I want to say this swoosh might have been a little more angled, but maybe not. The air bubble is smaller, but it's not that much smaller. The navy might have been a little brighter, especially on these hard parts right here. But again, it's a really nice rendition of the OG shoe. They're $170. I feel like these haven't retroed since 2011, because there were a bunch of them. I mean, there was a black and pink one that had the OG black and red. I believe these came out. There was a gray and navy one that a lot of people around this area, Cleveland, had. So I don't know. At 170, I love this shoe, but I don't see a lot of people. It's got this same bottom as the Air Pippen one, which Scottie Pippen actually wore after this shoe. But I don't see a lot of people wearing or buying this shoe, I should say, for $170. Again, it's not horrible. I love it, but I don't see a lot of people wearing this shoe for $170. It's nice, and you got a lot of people that just like 90s basketball shoes, which, I'm one of those people, obviously. But, I don't see it. I mean, again, I could be wrong, but again, it's a really nice rendition of the OG shoe. I'd be a little more pumped if it was the black and red and gray one, but maybe those will be on their way too. So we'll see. So it's got your bottom, not bottom. We already went over the bottom, but the back, the cursive air, these panels, which I guess are supposed to provide support. The leather isn't going to be as good as it would have been in 97. It's probably better than it was in 2012, though, because I feel like in that era, they were just slapping shoes together, just slapping them together, and, that'd be that. So, again, a nice shoe. It's definitely worth having in my book, but any shoe from this era to me is worth having. So, as the Air Max Uptempo 3, or now known as the Air Max Uptempo 97. Again, just regular Nike box. So we'll do that. And now we're going to quickly review a shoe that's not even out yet, that I want to say it comes out on August 30th. And, you know, we'll start with the box. Air More Uptempo, 96. Now, to me, Nike has really hoarded this shoe out. Just hoard it out. Get out there on the block of work. You know, hoard it out. Oh, man. So, we have this gray and blue colorway. You know, I haven't even did my research. I don't know if there is any significance with this, but again, not a bad shoe. You know, if they weren't free, I wouldn't purchase these probably. I mean, they're not horrible, but they're not for me, you know. I only really like this shoe in a couple of different colors, and they're all mainly original. I mean, the black with the white outline, the Olympic, all black isn't bad, but I mean, it's kind of a waste. I mean, this shoe is $160. You know, if I'm gonna pay that much for a shoe, it's gotta have as much color on it as possible without it being completely ridiculous. So, I do like this white swoosh and the white air bubbles. That's about all I like. Again, this isn't a bad shoe. This isn't even really that bad of a colorway. Like I said, just not for me. If I were the one in charge of the designing, I would have designed this a little different. The air is nubuck, while the rest of the shoe is leather. That's nice. It's a nice white swoosh on the toe. I would have made it to where it wouldn't have continued down. I would have probably just had it stop here and maybe had this be all gray or just something else. I mean, I feel like this shoe has been done to death. Now, they've had some decent newer colorways. We saw a colorway come out that was geared towards the 90s, but it was grade school only. Really crazy. If I wasn't so lazy, I guess I'd go get it. But I'm not really a fan of that either, but I like that even more than this. So, the colorways don't have to be OG. I'm like, it's got to be OG colorways, you know. But it's got to at least look like it could have came out back in the day. You know what I mean? Like, I know some of y'all watching this may not be old enough to remember, but when this shoe came out in 96, came out in two versions. You had this, which was the Air More Uptempo, and then you had the Air Much Uptempo, which was basically a takedown version. Takedown is a lost art sneakers nowadays, but it's basically this exact shoe, but with a different midsole, and it just had one air bubble. They also, you know, the Air Money came out with that same midsole back then. Now they put the More Uptempo midsole on it and called it the Air More Money, I guess. But you know, this was a colorway. If this came out back in the day, it would have been on a Much Uptempo and not a More Uptempo. I feel like there were only maybe 5 or 6 colors of this back in the day. The original black and white, the Pippen wore. There's an all-white version that came out as well. The Olympic, of course. There was a navy, white, and orange colorway. I think that was OG. I think. And then they had a black and red one that came out after, too. That was mostly black with red air bubbles, and it had, you know, it was different. So there weren't that many colors of these back in the day, but there were a million Air Much Uptempos out there. Actually, the one I feel like most people had was just white and navy with a little bit of gold, and people used to call those the Reggie Millers, too, before this Air Uptempo 3 that we just reviewed before this. So, again, they're 160. They come out on August 30th. Again, not necessarily for me, but not horrible. you know, um, you know, if they weren't free, I probably wouldn't buy them. But again, they're not horrible. So, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure and like, comment, subscribe. Shortyc94 on Instagram if you're already not following me. Make sure and be blessed, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.